So next up, we have Teresa Quick from Novamera to talk about the work that they're doing with their technology. So come on up, Teresa.
What if we could mine differently? What if instead of focusing solely on large-scale deposits, we could unlock the trillions in value in smaller scale deposits? What if we could create a data-driven, fast-to-ore, low-capital solution to be able to unlock these deposits? Right here you see a narrow vein deposit, and right beside it there's actually a large open pit. And this is where surgical mining was born in Newfoundland. And the problem was you had this high-grade gold deposit off to the side of your existing operations, but no way to mine it using conventional mining methods. And what we found was there's about 13 times more small deposits than there are large deposits. This is called the clustering effect. And so what does this mean for the mining industry? Well, it means that there's a lot that we know is already out there. It's already been gone through exploration, but we just don't have a good way to mine it. And what this also means for mid-tiers and large caps is you now have the possibility to create hub and spoke models where you can now feed your mill and manage your stockpile. So why haven't these deposits, particularly steeply dipping narrow vein deposits, not been mined already? And the reality is if you try and put an open pit around these, you just generate far too much waste for them to be economic. If you try and put the infrastructure to build an underground mine, you're looking at a very costly development and a very long process. But what if you could use technology to be able to surgically extract using conventional drilling equipment? You could unlock huge, huge value and create more and more production, which is what we're looking for right now, very, very quickly. I'm going to play this animation. I'm hoping the sound is okay because it does a better job of explaining how surgical mining works using a surface narrow vein deposit. Oh, the animation didn't play. Didn't play? No? Here we go. That always does a better job of explaining it to me using pictures. But what you have is a very, very small footprint new solution that's turnkey. And that's really what technology's allowed us to do, is create this very, very efficient process to be able to extract ore without generating the waste that creates so many issues when it comes to mining. So what allows us to do this process, right? This small footprint style mining? We use conventional drilling equipment, so we've got our guidance tool. So what that does, it gets deployed at the end of diamond core rig. And what that's basically doing is you get a very crude block model, and what you're now doing is you're actually able to refine the exact shape and geometry and orientation of that deposit in real time at a production pace, which means you can now use that information to be able to adjust your original surgical mining plan to be able to make sure that you're reducing dilution and making sure that the economics make sense. So you're constantly creating this loop of data now to be able to refine and create that flexibility to create real value. You also have our pile-top drill rig here, which has our course correction device and our positioning control system. And what this does is it makes a dumb drill very smart. So you're able to be very, very precise. Again, to be able to stay on that prescribed trajectory, to be able to ensure you're continually focusing on the ore and leaving the waste in the ground. All this information is constantly going through a loop where we're using AI and machine learning to be able to take large volumes of data and be able to optimize this entire process. So what does this allow us to do? Well, one, it makes currently uneconomic deposits very, very profitable. You're looking at up to 200% IRR. One of the projects that we just looked at, you're looking at an initial capital about $7 million, 45 million MPV over 2 years. Like, we're talking about numbers that are very, very appealing and very, very fast to be able to move. Again, you're not dealing with the same level of development and infrastructure that you need to do for a conventional mine. So you're really, really reducing that time scale. And then lastly, permitting and social acceptance. We just finished talking about all these challenges we have with community buy-in. Well, when you're not producing the dust, there's no blasting, you're now using a closed loop system, which means that water is being recycled over and over again through those holes. You have minimal water discharge, and most importantly, it's a very small footprint. So you're really solving a lot of these really big challenges that we currently have to get some of these deposits into production very quickly. As we talked about, to start the day off, Doug mentioned we need to get a lot of more production happening a lot faster. And what you are now doing is unlocking whole new opportunities, again, that we already know are there. Now you're just providing a new way to be able to extract them very efficiently. Again, much, much faster. So what are the applications? Well, for starters, we can look at deposits that have been put in back filing cabinets because they have been uneconomic in the past. You're now opening up all of these new deposits. Right now, in terms of narrow vein deposits, we have a fairly robust database that we already know of, and that's the ones that are publicly available. There's so many that mid-tiers and large caps have in their back filing cabinets that they'd never even considered to be part of a plan that you could now bring potentially into production very quickly with very low capital. Similar to the periphery deposit, many exist within existing mine leases. So you could actually start to produce fairly quickly and add to production and again feed mills. Bottom of pit extensions, we talk about, what do we do at the end when we've reached the point where there's no more economics, it doesn't make sense to go underground. You could then use this at the bottom of the pit. Crown pillars, bulk samples are also, again, you now have this very flexible, very mobile way to be able to do bulk samples in a way where you're actually capturing a better sense of what those deposits look like using this technology. Mining very sensitive areas, environmentally sensitive areas, areas that are very close to communities or infrastructure, like roads. This provides a new way to be able to mine those areas. And again, this also provides a whole new avenue, particularly for juniors, to be able to get into production with very minimal CapEx. And rely less on capital markets because you can now start to generate your own revenue to be able to expand operations and exploration within a certain area. So again, you're providing all these new opportunities and tools using technology in a way that's never been leveraged before within mining. So how do we start? Well, from the video you saw, where we typically start is we can very quickly evaluate whether a project actually makes sense. So we take existing block models or geologic models, and we're able to put that through our simulation software to be able to calculate the actual project return. So before you even start, we're not going to go down an avenue where the juice isn't worth the squeeze. So we can find out exact product costs and estimate that to be able to know where to start and whether it makes sense to move forward with the project. We then have the option of deploying our guidance tool. So our guidance tool can also be used. It is identifying the shape and the geometry of those ore bodies, so you can actually use that as an additional tool to be able to help add more knowledge to your existing geologic model, if that's necessary, to be able to reduce the risk for the project. A bulk sample, or you can go directly into surgical mining. And the beautiful thing here is there's many provinces that already have small mining provisions that exist within permitting. So there's many opportunities to be able to explore this. And with that, I'm sure there'll be questions, which you can find me at lunch. In terms of volume, extraction, costs, be happy to have those conversations. But that's all. Thanks so much.